These three personal brands are making millions of dollars every single month, and it has nothing to do with authority, their connections, or their testimonials. It is a set of subconscious triggers that most coaches don't even know exist, and these are the same principles that helped me take Nelson from 60,000 to 96,000 qualified followers in under 3 months, and Ellie Abel from 1.2k to 5k in a single month. And absolutely none of it had to do with how much they're posting or how hard they have to work on every single post. And here's what's frustrating: most of you guys are doing the right things on paper. You're giving value, you have testimonials, but still your brand is held in the same place it was 6 months back. Meanwhile, these three personal brands are operating on a completely different scale. So after breaking down these three brands, each one a market leader in their specific industry, I found out 3 patterns that makes them different from everyone else. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through each one of them so that you can implement those in your brand starting today. The first principle sounds so basic that most of you people completely miss it or are doing it completely wrong. And that's exactly why it works so well for the people who are already implementing it. Whenever you are watching a video from Alex Hormozi, Iman Ghazi, or Daniel Dalen, it kind of feels like they know the answers to the questions that you would ask. Every single problem that you had in your mind is getting solved when you're watching your content, you just don't know how. And most of the people think they're geniuses at it. They have years of experience, their team is the best. Actually, it's not true. It's because their content team always has direct access to their sales team. Think about what happens on a sales call or conversation with your prospect. Your setter and closer is hearing the prospect's deepest fears, insecurities, what keeps them up at night, and the limiting beliefs that prospects hold in their minds. And if that specific data is not given to your content team, you're never going to pre-handle those objections, waste your sales team time, plus your content will not hit the viewers. When I started working with Nelson, he had great proof. His content was good, but he wasn't getting the right kind of people. The reason for that was because there was a disconnect between the sales team and the content team. And the moment he started to bridge that gap, we started to attract the right kind of people. But here's the thing, the first principle is useless on its own. You can have the most data-driven team in the world, but still not get the results that you wished for, because your formats did not resonate with the audience. And this is the second principle that most coaches get catastrophically wrong. Here's what most of you guys do right now. You see a format that's working, you try to copy it frame by frame, but it doesn't seem to work with you because your audience is not aligned. It is not the same audience as that person, even if you're in the same niche. Daniel Dalen didn't just try hundreds of formats before finding his... What the fuck, man? Daniel Dalen didn't find the perfect POV format after researching like 1,000 other creators in other niche and copying their formats. The reason why it worked for him was because it was aligned to who he was and his audience. So when you're testing out a new format, it's not about how many views you got, how many likes you got, or how many followers you got. It's about how many dream followers you actually got who care about you. Because I have seen creators get 200,000 views and 200 ICP aligned followers versus someone who actually got 10,000 views and got 400 ICP aligned followers. All of it had to do with how they position that format. And here's how it actually works. Whenever you're trying to copy or test a format, don't just copy it blindly. First of all, try to find these formats in adjacent niches. Otherwise, let's say I copy something from Nick Setting and I do the same thing as Nick Setting. People are going to associate me with Nick Setting, and I'm not going to be able to sell or command higher authority than him, because every single one of my videos leads to his videos. So when you're doing this, try to find inspiration from different things. Try to find this from even books, even movies. One of the best niches to find great formats is literally personal branding, because all of us are researching formats that are actually working in the space right now and copying that over to us. And you have to find outliers and then add your own twist to it. For example, when I worked with Ellie Abel, we were not trying to reinvent the wheel. We found a format that was working within a different niche. We copied that over to his niche, and instantly we got 120,000 views, which were all aligned to him. And we have been able to consistently get 20, 30,000 views on each one of his videos because of that format. And now, if you have nailed these two principles, you are already ahead of 80% of the coaches in the market. But here's the thing, there is one element that's left that actually changes the whole thing about your own perception and how much prizes can you command in the market. And the simplest way I can actually explain this is just think of a Rolex and a normal watch. You're paying 100 times more for the same kind of watch. The utility is seeing time, but one is priced so high. The reason for that is the perception. And that's exactly the same with these three personal brands. They have engineered perception that works according to them. And this is the most important principle, and I have divided it into three subcategories. The first one is your visual design. Now, I don't just mean the camera quality that you have. It means how your room looks like, what your poster says about you, what your wardrobe says about you. Let me give you an example for this. There was a video with TJR and Iman Ghazi where they swapped their outfits. And now when you look at that video, it looks completely off. And it's not like their clothing choice was very bad. It just had to do with the perception that they had built. They had built their brand so intentionally that if we swap any kind of certain elements in their personal brands, something feels off. And when this is inconsistent, it's going to feel very, very off subconsciously to your viewers. They won't be able to tell, but they will know something is off. And that diminishes your trust. But obviously, visuals alone are not going to do you a lot. There are a ton of creators whose content looks so premium, but they are not able to command high prices. So that brings me on to my second layer, which is associations. Hormozi uses this analogy. Imagine you're walking down a road and you see a cow. It has no brand tags, it just looks like a normal cow, behaves like a normal cow. You will walk right past it. But now imagine the cow is actually green. It has a big tag written on it from a person's name that you actually respect. Now, what would you do in that situation? Most of the people will try to return that cow to that specific person. And that's what association is. And that's exactly why your brand is respected on the level that you are being associated with. Let's say I want to get a lot of investors or people who like investing in general. If I associate myself with Warren Buffett, a lot of people who like investing are gonna be seeing the association and like me more as well. If you can control this, you can literally have a certain level of respect the association has and borrow that over to you. And this doesn't just work with personal brands, it works with big companies as well. Pepsi ran a massive campaign that accidentally associated it with political corruption. And the result was that its sales plummeted. Now, most of the creators are going to stop here, they're going to build associations, they're going to build that, but still, they may be struggling with charging higher prices. And this is the biggest sauce that you can get if you have implemented all the last steps. And it's about influence and direction. Influence is the amount of authority that you have over your audience. And direction is basically if you're pulling the audience towards you or away from you. And the biggest problem most of you guys have is that you try to pull these people towards you, but you don't have influence over them. And that's why it doesn't work. So how do you really build influence? You can build this by your case studies, your testimonials, and the biggest one, showing yourself being in the dream outcome of your ICP. Imagine this, a lot of coaches are trying to sell to 45-year-old dads while they're 25-year-olds. It's very hard because the older audience is not able to think that they can actually get them the results because they are not in the same place as them. If it was a 50-year-old dad who was actually teaching them, they would be a lot more convinced. And once you do this, you will be working the same hours, you will have the same deliverables, but you will be making 10 times compared to what you're making right now. And that's the difference. The first principle gets your audience to convert. The second principle makes you one of one. And the third principle allows you to command higher prices without you having to change your service or delivery at all. And these three patterns are the difference between a brand who actually only gets views versus a brand that actually gets paid. But here's the honest part. Most of you are not going to be able to implement this. And that's not because you're lazy, but you have a time constraint. You don't have the time to research, you don't have the time to optimize, and you don't have the time to run content yourself. Because ideation, scripting, and all of this stuff is going to take at least 20 hours a week for you. Meanwhile, the coaches with bad fulfillment are going to make more money than you. So if you're tired of doing this on your own, I run a done-for-you creative direction system that integrates all of these spots. And if you're interested, hit me up on Instagram.